So, ladies and gentlemen, we begin with our third panel discussion of the day on sustainable manufacturing driving the smart and sustainable future. I would like to invite Mr. Robin Banerjee, President and CEO, CII India Limited, to please moderate the session. We have on stage Mr. Deepak Rokde, CII leader from Pune, Cummins, India. We have on stage Mr. Sanjay Khare, Vice President, Safety and Sustainability Strategy, Skoda Auto. We have with us Mr. Abhay Pense, Vice President and Head, Shindewadi Works, Godrej and Boys Manufacturing Company Limited, Lockheed Motors. And also Kiran Sarkar, Head Sustainability, Automotive and Farm Equipment Sector, Mahindra & Mahindra. Thank you very much for all to join us today. And I would now request Robin sir to please take over the session.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you. That means the lunch was not too bad. That's great. The challenge for the post-lunch session is the discussions of the lunchtime continues, and then half the way they say, "Acha chalo kuch sun lete hain. Kya ho raha hai idhar?" I must tell you that we have one of the most fascinating manufacturing team discussing green on manufacturing, and I can still see. Come on, boys and girls, come, take your seat. You can take the sweet dish and sit. That will be better. It's like taking your coffee and discussing manufacturing, green in manufacturing. That's the future, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start, I know it's 2:44, 2:43 already, and the time is ticking. Good. So today we have a session on sustainable manufacturing, and although we talk about softwares, IT, but without manufacturing, how can you have a software? How can you have an IT? So always manufacturing starts first. The question is chicken has come first or the egg? But I think here very clearly manufacturing came first. So I have a task of handling a panel discussion with one of the most powerful panelists. But before we start, and while you are having your sweet dish, I want to give some numbers. Some numbers which has been discussed already since morning, perhaps it will continue to be discussed. Some numbers are not so good news numbers and some good news numbers. The not so good news numbers are 2 or 3 of them. Quickly, before the panel starts and you guys get used to a panel discussion, 3/4 of India's energy is generated from the dirty input, which is called coal, 3/4. It's about 67, 68%. 2/3 maybe, I think that's a good number. Number one. Number two, as per WHO, 93% of the air in India is polluted. It's bad air. WHO data. That's not so good news, so we have to obviously become sustainable with the manufacturers. And number 3, 1 million people die every year in India because of bad air, because of dirty air. These are the 3 bad news I thought I must mention up front so that all of us can hopefully make a different India. The good news is, and there are lots of good news, India has already stated, the Prime Minister stated, by 2070 we will be net zero, carbon net zero. Wonderful. Many countries have said so. Number one. Number two, and which is very good news for manufacturing. Today, the renewable energy is 150 gigawatt in India. By 2030, this is going to be 500 gigawatt, from 150 gigawatt to 500 gigawatt. What does it mean to manufacturers like you and me? The expenditure which will be made on this is $500 billion, $500 billion between 2023 and 2030. So if you're thinking of entering into sustainable business, this is the place where we are. Today, we are already about 400 gigawatt of total energy which is getting generated. 150 gigawatt is from renewable, and that's going to become 500 gigawatt. $500 billion going to be invested in 7 years. I don't think there is any other better case for any one of us to make investments. I'm not going to get you any other number, but the fact of the matter is India is changing. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I have one of the first 4 excellent panelists. So while I start, maybe I can request. You would start, Deepak? You are here, right here. Would you kindly say a few words about what is your view? And all 4 of you, I will request you to talk about what you believe is the challenges in front of us.
Thank you, Robin, for taking this up. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deepak Rokde. I am from Cummins, India, and I represent Cummins. Recently, I also took the role where I will be looking after all the global new business startup for Cummins. So wherever all the new Cummins plants are coming globally, we'll be taking care of them through all these sustainability perspective. Thank you, CII, for inviting me as a panelist for this sustainable manufacturing, driving the future of smart and sustainable mobility. This journey started in 2015 through Paris Agreement, as we all know, COP21, where all the 17 sustainability development goals have been derived. And Cummins is part of that particular pact signed on that particular thing. Going ahead, I will mention here about the alignment of the government policies also. I can see through the Union Budget 2023, where we are seeing some good policies like Saptarshi, 7 priorities has been defined, which also included the green power in it, along with other 6 different priorities. There are another schemes which are really coming up for the manufacturing sector as a production incentive schemes. National logistic policies will be coming up, and then impedance on Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat also. So these are the opportunities for us. At the same time, there will be stringent emission norms will be coming up, OBD2, CPCB 4+, and BS6. All these are abided to us through our products which we are designing. Cummins with its 57,000 employees and 1.3 million engines delivering per annum average, also spending $903 million on the research itself. So the scope 3 for the product is a very prime important thing for Cummins. So here we are, our around 3,000 engineers are working from India who are working religiously on all these control measures on engine and its components. Just one example of X15 engine, which we have able to reduce its material by 200 kg through our design perspective, is one of the thing which engineers are doing. Similarly, this 15-liter truck which is coming out is enabled with natural gas. At the same time, we are blending it with the hydrogen. So fuel agnostic will be next era which will be coming up from the sustainability perspective. So that will encourage further sustainability thing for the scope 3 product. Along with that, there are many other initiatives are being taken on the scope 3. I will talk about some Planet 2050. Planet 2050 is a rules, 9 goals which has been taken by Cummins, and we have decided to be carbon neutral by 2050 as a Cummins, against the target of carbon neutral by government at 2070. How we will be doing that? First milestone will be coming at 2030, where we will be reducing all the GHG emission by 50% by 2030. How we will be doing that? The good example, we have started our baseline target we have taken from 2018, and now already we have approached to 13 megawatt of solar panel installation across India. That's a commendable thing we have done, and we will continue our journey as well. Similarly, on product perspective, I will also touch base that for hydrogen engine, we already designed the truck which has been exhibited in Auto Expo Delhi recently. We have completed that. At the same time, hydrogen technology is going ahead with industry competent from the economy perspective. So we will be largest electrolysis manufacturer across the globe, where we are setting up our manufacturing facilities at different 3 locations also. On GHG emission reduction, I would like to mention certain initiatives has been taken by the team Cummins, where we have reduced our GHG emission by 15% till date, and we will be going to 50% in next 8 years. The water side also, we have decided to be water neutral by 2030 for considering all the water resources we are using for all the facilities and operation. We have started with certain sustainability initiatives on the waterfront, like adiabatic cooling towers against the cooling towers we are using conventional type where evaporation loss is higher. Similarly, regen dyno is another important thing where we have phased out our water break dynamometers, hydraulic dynamometers out from our test cells, and these regen dyno also helping our organization to generate electricity as well. So that is what we have done on GHG side, water resources side. On waste side also, we have decided the target of 25% reduction for the generation of waste, and that we are in the journey. We have achieved around 2 to 5% of generation of waste reduction. And this journey will be continued with some of the other initiatives also. There are some confidential things which are also running out from the R&D perspective across the Cummins, and we have also taken the target of removing all the these VOCs also of by 25%, where we will be putting water-based paints, technologies, these type of things will be coming up. From manufacturing sector, some technologies like heat pump and other things has been adopted, which are really contributing a lot to our manufacturing setup, especially manufacturing of the engine components and other things as well. So these are all the efforts which has been taken by Cummins, and we are very much sure that we will be taking that ahead in Planet 2030 as per the Planet 2030 targets, and future as Planet 2050 also. So challenges I see that when for solar panel installation, you are putting the solar panel, you will be getting it up to 6:30 p.m. But after that, it will be difficult to run through solar. That will be the another challenge. So you need to find out some more renewable energy resources. That type of things need to be come up. Then storage of this energy which is generated is another chapter we are thinking, and we are working towards that. How we can do that, and partnering with these grid suppliers. So those are the challenges will remain, and but I'm sure that the team along with all the partners will find out the solution. That's from my side. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Deepak Rokade. I cut you short. I'm so sorry for that, because I think so much you guys are doing. Cummins is doing so much. Of course, there are challenges. If there are no challenges, then we don't have any job to do. Now, may I request Mr. Sanjay Khare? He has a time constraint. He's a very sought-after speaker, and he has to go and attend a logistics seminar, as you know. It is also being held in the same venue, which is downstairs. So, Sanjay Khare, Vice President, Safety and Sustainability Strategy, Skoda Auto, and Volkswagen India Private Limited. Sanjay, your initial comments.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much for this welcome and this address. And thank you, CII, for this wonderful conference. I think this is a topic which has really picked up. Afternoon session, I'll tell you a small story, I think, which we all have heard in our childhood. From Aesop's fables. How many of you have listened to the story of goose who laid golden eggs? Kisne suna hai? So everybody. The story goes around that there was a farmer and his wife, and they had a goose who used to lay golden eggs. And every morning they'll get a wonderful golden egg and they'll enjoy it. उनको लगा कि इसके पेट में बहुत बड़ा सा gold mine है, and they said, "There, why do we wait for the entire years? Let's try to extract the gold out of this goose's stomach." And they cut it open, and from inside they did not find anything. So, what's the connection of that this story with this our field of sustainability? कुछ है connection इस बात का? Anybody? What is it? Absolutely, absolutely. This hen stands for many metaphors. It can be earth, it can be our stakeholders, it can be community, it can be the society we operate in, it can be anything. So I'll put a very simple word. Today's date, businesses have to realize one thing, that economy is just a subsystem. Economy is just a subsystem of the open system of the earth, which is finite, non-growing, and materially closed. Earth is finite, non-growing, and materially closed, means all our resources limited. Only one thing is unlimited, which every one of us has been talking around, that is solar power. Only one thing is unlimited. I straight away jump to my manufacturing topic. Manufacturing emissions are just 2% of my entire value chain of automotive. 13% comes from the downstream suppliers and logistics, 2% in manufacturing. 80% is in the use phase, the rest 5% is in the end-of-life recycling phase. So this 2%, if I divide it, we have got a program called Zero Impact Factory Program. It's got 11 pillars, where we use energy per car, the way you use CO2 emissions per car, water per car, waste per car, VOCs per car, how we are measuring how we are impacting the soil, biodiversity, architecture, perception, cooling, heating, everything. So there are 11 pillars, and we measure it in terms of known as BIP, billion impact points. Across the Volkswagen Group, 125 plants, everybody measures what is their BIP. Today's date, I've got a certain BIP, but I have a goal for 2025 to reduce it to in a much bigger way by almost 60 to 70%. We have started a program way back in 2010, yes. It was called Think Blue Factory, where we started measuring 5 things: CO2, energy, wastewater, and VOC. 2018, we have signed a Go to Zero pledge after Paris Climate Agreement, where we have said that by 2050, all our emissions across the life cycle will become zero. India, I am very, very ambitious. I wanted to make it happen by 2025. I'm having some challenges, but what we have done, I'll tell. In my Pune plant, I have been able to install 18.5 megawatt solar plant at one single location. One single location of 18.5 megawatts at zero cost to me. Some investors, they invested on an OPEX model, and I buy energy from him in place of my rooftop at 3 rupees 60 paisa a unit instead of spending 8 rupees a unit. Straight away saving a few scores of crores every year, so only on energy cost. Number 2, we have a huge energy efficiency program. How do we use the waste heat recoveries, most efficient motors, how we use, how we have a model around our Sundays and holidays, what is the base load consumption and how do we minimize that, how do we minimize the leakages, compressed air, heat leakages. Very active program on that, very resilient program on that. Third thing is, we are a zero liquid discharge company. We don't send even a single drop of wastewater. While being a huge paint shop in our operations, we are a huge plant making 1.5 lakh luxury cars every year. We don't send even a single drop of water. We recycle each and every drop of water and reuse it inside. We have got a huge plant where we had been sending huge amount of waste to landfills earlier. Now we are a certified bio-TUV not zero waste to landfill plant. Zero waste goes out. Zero means 99.5% we are able to recycle, reuse inside, or for example, old paint shop primer is sent to convert into primer for putting on the structures. So there's a company who's just repurposing it. So all these things have really put us onto a good pedestal. We became very ambitious. We wanted to be absolutely carbon neutral by 2025. Unfortunately, the policies as well as funds are there some challenges. We are working on 2 right now, good projects right now. One is obviously, my colleague from Mahindra will also tell that we want to work on group captive solar to get more renewable energy. Another which we are working on really made it technically successful. Pune area and Maharashtra region is full of sugarcane. And using sugarcane, waste from sugarcane sugar mills, we want to use a biogas plant making 20,000 meter cube per day, which will be there to replace our natural gas requirements in our paint shop for heating. It's technically ready with us. We are looking forward to how to manage the funds part. So we are going in a good way. We have got an active biodiversity. We have spent 1 billion euros 5 years back in putting new models. Our plant expanded like anything. But the good news is that We had done one census of our biodiversity in 2017 and one census we did in 2021. Our biodiversity, number of species of insects, birds, animals, and plants went by 30%. From 250 species, we are at 330 species right now. We have taken out a beautiful book on this topic, which is there on my LinkedIn. You can all see that. And we have got a wonderful, beautiful butterfly garden and a bee garden inside our plant, which is acting as a multiplier. So I'll just summarize this whole topic that if manufacturing were to see, it's very much profitable. Everywhere I have made money. If I put solar energy, I have saved huge amount of money, 60% of energy cost. 30% carbon neutrality is already achieved in my plant. If I become zero waste, I'm saving 25,000 rupees a ton on waste disposal cost. That's again does in crores. If I'm becoming a zero liquid discharge company, I'm using water which has been recycled to a perfect BOD COD levels for all my gardening. I save upon water. So ultimately, economics and environment are two sides of the same coin. We have to just think around it. And what will make us think around this is, I use a word called CAR. Car. I'm a car company, so C is all about commitment. Yes, we committed to it 2018 that we want to go to zero. Then comes action. Take actions. We are all from productive organizations. We know how to take actions, how to decide, how to do the root cause analysis. And third thing is about results. When we have done this, next cycle is about, again, a car. Communicate the results, raise the ambition levels, and that's where we achieve resilience. Last equation, sustainability results are all about how do we give good benefits to the society and environment around us. A purpose of an organization is what? Anybody? What is the purpose of an organization? Is the society. What value we add to them? So if we are giving them good mobility, sustainable mobility, if we are giving them positive, clean atmosphere, that's good. And how do we minimize the externalities to the environment around us? So we leave a positive environment around us and do not leave any negative impacts on the earth. That is what the mission goal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. So we have heard Cummins, we have heard Skoda, Volkswagen. We have two more companies to hear. Let's see what they are doing.
So I have to leave, sir, for the
Yes, yes, Sanjay. Thank you so much. So Sanjay needs to leave, as I announced. So he has to attend another program. So now, Abhay, can I request you, Abhay Pense, Vice President, Godrej and Boyce, and then, of course, Kiran, who is a lady, would be the last word to say on all that you guys are doing. Go ahead, Abhay.
Yeah, thank you, Robin, and thank you, CII, for getting us here. I represent Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company, and my division manufactures electric motors. We make around, this year we manufactured around 45 lakhs motors. We continue to grow year on year 10% plus. And whatever you heard from two speakers, our end product actually consumes maximum of power or fuel. So during manufacturing phase and during the raw material or the extraction phase, the amount of carbon footprint generated is only 1–1.5%, whereas the end use actually consumes more than 98% plus. So our real endeavor is to always ensure that our products do not consume the power, less and less power for the same output, and they become more and more efficient. So that's where we are working towards. Of course, challenge is the appliances are growing, the products which we cater to, we supply to Cummins as well for the genset exciters and genset. So everywhere, everybody is asking for lower consumption of power of their equipment. So all the work that what we have done, of course, on manufacturing side, we have done a lot of work which is commonly everybody has done about the renewable energy, zero waste, water neutrality, etc. But more important focus from our side is on to the product side. We have improved the efficiency of the motors which are used for refrigerator air conditioners. Typically when I joined company in '86, efficiency used to be in the range of 65%. Now we have reached up to a level of around 89%, 90%. So you can imagine the amount of, and we manufacture numbers like 45 lakhs quantity that is being manufactured. So you can imagine every year almost 10 megawatt worth of electricity plant getting redundant because of the improvement in the efficiency what is happening over year on year. At the same time, we are making the motor in a smaller size to reduce make it more compact with the same output but with the better efficiency. All this is possible with using better material and lot of efforts going on to the design and R&D front. So our R&D has done a lot of work, electronics has come into picture, and previously, I mean, just to give a size or maybe simpler to understand, previously our motor for refrigerator of 165 or 190 liters would weigh around 5 kg. Now it weighs around 2 kg, and our next model ready, which will be only 1 kg. Some of the samples are there, you can have a look. So from a 5 kg motor to a 1 kg motor, giving same output, efficiency going from 65 to 90%. So that's all. Of course, enablers are good. The designs, magnets coming into, electronics coming into the picture. But overall, if you see, and this is coming out from a challenge, I mean, all appliances have to get themselves rated for B rating. You see now 5-star rating, 4-star rating on the refrigerator, air conditioners, fans, etc. All appliances. And now whatever the next table is coming, nobody in India as of today is ready for the next table. Next table 5-star rating. So all are struggling for reaching to that level. We raised this question in the B meeting. The answer received was, you guys would keep making more and more appliances where we will get more energy, I mean, electricity generation plants. So with the same generation, you will have to cater to the growing market. So if this is the mandate, naturally, a lot of different technical challenges are in front of us. But we are quite sure, I mean, 90% and such a small motor, when I joined, it would have been a dream kind of situation, which is happening true. So more work on to the design front, lot of work done on the processes side. We have eliminated a lot of processes, done a lot of investment into the upstream processes like punching or maybe on the magnet side, and that's how we are able to improve the efficiency part. So as I said, the challenge is with the lower amount of energy or the energy consumption keeping same, how can we increase the numbers and reduce the cost as well. So that's the path which we are following, and I think I mean, two of the customers, one, I mean, Sanjay has gone, but Cummins always we keep getting the challenge that next exciter should be with the higher efficiency. So I think we are going in that path, and that's the way forward for us. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. What wonderful work you guys are doing. Wonderful, wonderful. So we move on. We have heard comments. We have heard Skoda. We have now heard Abhay. Now Kiran Sarkar. She's head sustainability, automotive and farm equipment sector, Mahindra & Mahindra.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. So 3 speakers have already spoke. So I'm thinking, what is remaining for me? See, the thing is, when we talk about sustainable or green manufacturing for that matter, what we consider as a green manufacturing. So the question starts from there, what is that? So whatever happening within the boundary, if we make it green, should we consider it as a green manufacturing or no? The challenge is we have to look at the end-to-end ecosystem, and we have to look at what we call it as a natural capital. So what is the environmental capital? What is the natural capital? So we talk about, return on investment, right? So what is the return on environment? What is on return on environment capital? What is the return on social capital? And how do you calculate it actually? So your operations are creating impact not only for you, but the community, the supply chain, upstream, downstream, everything together. So how actually it's, whether you are a positive environmental capital or you are a negative environmental capital, and CII is also working on that to actually calculate it. So we have to look there, where are we today, and then in which direction we have to go. So at Mahindra, what we are doing is, we call it as a planet positive commitments, and ESG, environmental, social and governance, is part of our R.A.I.S.E philosophy. R.A.I.S.E philosophy for us is a philosophy of a company, and there are 3 pillars in the R.A.I.S.E philosophy, and one entire pillar talks about the environmental social governance. So ESG is a core philosophy for our organization, and it is flowing down right from Mr. Anand Mahindra till the bottom line. And what we have seen here is, ESG is bringing a lot of opportunities for companies. To give a simple example for us, you think the company should have a very long vision and where you see yourself as a company for tomorrow's organization per se. So we are manufacturing vehicles, and we have come up with a business which we call it as a Mahindra Zero, which is in the recycling of old vehicles, right? Or this scrappage policy. Under scrappage policy, now we have to have a recycling facility, and ours is the first recycling facility in India to recycle the vehicles and then recover those materials again from that recycling and use it back in the process. So this entire circular economy concept is being used, and the business is being created because of that. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of opportunities in this business. If you think from the climate change perspective, if you think really from the environment perspective, there is a small AV on YouTube we have launched like a couple of months back, which talks about tomorrow's consumers. So the AV is about the children and what they're asking from companies. So one of the child says that, if you are taking care of the community, then I would like to pay for you. So these are the kind of going to be the consumers for tomorrow. So where do we think, where are we? Because we are in today's world, a very dynamic world. We have seen, this is the generation I think gone through COVID, a pandemic, and it is a life-changing things that all of us have seen and how we have survived through it. So human beings are very agile and they can survive through it. So I think this we should use for actually bringing in new opportunities, and India as a country had a lot of opportunities that we will see in coming years. So that is one. What we are doing is we are working on renewable energy, we are working on EV vehicles, we are working on energy optimization. We are working on a very universal concept like ideal versus actual. So in your any line machines, what is the ideal consumption the machine should be for the machine, and how much you are consuming in your current scenarios. So do that comparison and try come and close to the ideal consumption. That solves your process efficiency, process optimization problem. So work on the concept on higher impacts and then bring in this green manufacturing aspects. For renewable energy, we have spoken, but renewable energy is actually an opportunity for your cost reduction. So there are different concepts on renewable energy. One is the OPEX model that Sanjay was talking about. There is a group captive model in solar and renewable. What we talk about is where you don't have to invest upfront, but you have to invest around 8 to 10% of equity of the total project cost, and then you can save that. It's actually 4 to 5 months ROI that you get. And then for 25 years, you get the benefit. So there are a lot of models available wherein, you can actually work it out and bring in the bottom line benefits also along with the environment. So what I think is there is a lot of opportunity lies. We have to just go to it and take it out.
Thank you. So much work these 4 manufacturing companies are doing. I sometimes wonder, our time is short, we just have 12 minutes, by the way. We'll try to pack in as much as possible. So I will request my fellow panelists to give short answers. My question to, first of all, let's say to Deepak would be that whenever we talk about sustainability, all that what we talked, is there a return on investment? Is there a profitability? Do you guys look at profitability, or you do look at something else when you embark on a project?
Yeah. Thank you, Robin, for this question. So when you are putting the things, as Mr. Khare has also mentioned, why we are running the business, again, profit will be there. That is one of the things. But at the same time, society. So Cummins has a vision of making people's lives better by powering more prosperous world. at the same time with a mission of innovating for our customers to power their excellence. So all these things are truly followed. So whatever we are doing on sustainability initiatives, we are committed to our society. That is number one. So all the time I agree that businesses will not get the profit all the time, but at the same time, if we see the long-term benefits of that, for example, if we are putting a solar panel, 1 kilowatt of solar panel installation may take around 45 to 50,000 rupees to install, and then ROI is around 3 to 4 years at some time. But beyond that, when you are seeing, you are giving much positive impact to the environment, planet. That is number one. At the same time, from the business perspective, from the business model perspective, you will be net zero if you are maintaining that with a certain cost of cleaning of the solar panels and maintenance of that solar panel. That is one of the example. Similarly, water neutrality thing, you have to invest a more thing, because water is going to be a more scarcity when you are using those things for your manufacturing. So a simple example of electrolysis, when you are manufacturing the electrolyzers, you need to wash it out for 4 to 5 times to take care of the process will be more efficient and all. So we are also finding out certain technologies to reduce that, and inventing certain initiatives so that we can optimize that cost, so that society will benefit. At the same time, long-term benefits are sure there, but short-term you have to invest, and you have to take that capital cost or capex into consideration. That is how we are looking at it.
So what I can see, Cummins is more on social aspect and contributing to society. Wonderful. I wish and hope that most organizations in the world looks like that way. Godrej and Boyce, how do you all look at it?
At least with our plant, our division, whatever projects we have done, they have ROI less than 3 years max. Payback period is around just 3 years or 2 years. In case of solar, we started off our first initiative of a panel, that's what we have put. It was around 6 years payback. Now it has came down to 4. Coming to water, of course, whatever money we have put, in terms of strictly the kind of price that we pay today, payback was much higher, but 4 years before we had a drought situation and many factories had to really close down, but because of our groundwater level, we could extract water and our plant was running. So I think if we consider that the payback we received for almost many years now, we need not worry about it. So I think ROI or payback is the key, and we have succeeded in all our projects to maintain within maximum 3 years, that's to say.
Wonderful. So Godrej and Boyce, payback on renewable energy is 3 years and less. Kiran, I want to move on to another topic. Scope 3 emissions. We keep reading, debating. Could you explain Scope 3 emissions from your point of view, and you're an automotive company? Go ahead.
Yep. So typically out of total emissions, like Scope 3 emissions are more than 90% for a typical manufacturing company. Scope 1, Scope 2 emissions are whatever emissions we are doing within the boundary, and Scope 3 are beyond the boundary. So typically for a manufacturing companies, the product lifetime emissions are part of Scope 3 emissions. Your entire supply chain logistics are part of the Scope 3 emissions. The challenge is, we are talking about carbon neutral, net zero, etc., but what about the Scope 3 emissions? So at many of the times, companies are not making it very clear when you say carbon neutrality is Scope 1, Scope 2, because Scope 1, Scope 2 is just 2 to 3% of your total emissions. And when you say we are a carbon neutral, you have only, taken care of these 2-3% emissions, and there is a burden of this 90% emissions. So what we have done is we have signed a science-based target, what we call it as, and science-based target are linked to the 1.5 degree scenario of global temperature rise. We have signed to the science-based target and taken target on Scope 3, which is very, very difficult, because Scope 3 includes all your supply chain emissions. Scope 3 includes your product lifecycle emissions. For product, what we are doing is we are moving fast to EV, so our product emissions are taken care of. Again, there is a lot of debate, on if you move to EV, ICE versus EV, what are the emission reduction? So if I have to give a very approximate number also, when we convert from ICE to EV, we only reduce around 15 to 20% emissions, because we are just shifting from diesel or petrol to coal again, right? So we are not reducing the emissions completely. The actual emission we'll be able to reduce when we charge the EV with renewable power. So that is going to the ultimate solution, because with India's targets, NDC targets, the grid is also changing. Today it's 75-25 approximately, but the grid will be 50-50, and as the grid changes, the emissions will reduce further. But also there are a lot of startups, companies are investing in and looking for, are charging EV with the renewable power. And there are a lot of legislations that needs to be changed. At policy level we have to work, but that's a possibility. So that's what's happening in Scope 3 for product. If I come for Scope 3 in supply chain, the challenge is lack of collaboration between the OEMs, between the supply chains, and the challenge what we have is, if there is one supplier, different OEMs are giving their different guidelines, standards to that particular supplier, right? So there has to be a consortium between the OEMs, and if collaboratively, if they work together, it will help a lot, I think.
Time being the essence, we are CII, okay? So I have always a talking point on, is it worthwhile doing all this? Society, we are understanding. I have a question to all three of you. The way I see it at a very macro level, the generation of coal, it's about the price. The cost is about 2 rupees per unit. 2 rupees 20, 2 rupees 30, around that. Wind, 2 rupees, 1 rupee 90. Solar, 1 rupee 70, 1 rupee 80. So as I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to all of you, we are talking about ROI from beginning. Today, solar and wind is cheaper than coal. So what's the big deal? Why are we talking about it? Everyone should go ahead and do it. And why aren't we doing it? Quick comment. We have already run out of time. Abhay, quick comments. All three of you.
One is about CapEx. You have to put upfront money. That is number one. Secondly, if you have to go with the CapEx model, you need to have your own space. And there are regulations as of today. We don't have still a solar policy. Well, so those are the two main hurdles. But otherwise, I don't think, but therefore OPEX model is working. Of course, rate is higher, but still it is working.
Wonderful, wonderful. Kiran.
Yeah, I think I have a little different opinion, okay? Because there are different models available, like group captive model, and I was saying that, you don't have to, upfront CapEx is not required, very less CapEx is required, which will go in terms of equity, and the benefits are higher. There is a banking facility available, which is we call it as a monthly banking facility. So even if you're not consuming on Sunday, you can use it at any day of the month. So that is another option. Wind hybrid policy, Maharashtra is initiating now, and there are some wind hybrid projects are coming. But it helps a lot because your 6 to 10 consumption for that wind works definitely. And the storage options, it's costly now, but eventually the storage will be. So I don't see any challenges not using wind and solar completely. That's my opinion, because you are going to save on power cost for sure, definitely.
Excellent. Deepak.
Yeah, so on solar, I will say the space constraint was one of the issue. We exhausted our whole space and we could not go ahead. Budget was not the issue because we have kept a different eco-hopper budget for all these projects for the sustainability perspective. So always welcome by our global Cummins for all these initiatives. So now the constraint is coming up for that power purchase agreement when we are trying to do that with the officials, and we are into the talk actually. That may come up in next 2-3 months. That is what positive side of it. But that is becoming a constraint. We are ready to put certain projects in other areas, but how to put it back to grid. For example, Regent, I know we are putting that, but we are not going to gain that advantage if we are not using that for ourselves, but can't put that in the grid because of some constraints from the government related thing. So those are the things, those are the challenges are seen, but not the budgetary constraint is there right now. The space, some regulation and policies required to be modified, need to be flexible. That is the requirement of the hour. That is what I am seeing right now. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We have run out of time, but my view is, well, we all represent CII. There is no question the generation of wind and solar has now become cheaper than coal, which is a fantastic news. It wasn't true even a few years back. But storage, battery technology, that's where the problem lies. Wind doesn't blow all the time, sun doesn't shine all the time. And in India, there is a problem called discoms. They don't pay us all the time. We give them our power and they don't pay us. What do we do? So yes, these are what, if there are no challenges, we don't exist. So that's how the opportunities are also for us. It's almost time, but let's take 2 or 3 questions. We have the best panel, I think, from manufacturing sector. Quick questions, ladies and gentlemen. Who wants to do it? Go ahead. Just announce your name and that's it. Name and organization.
Hi. This is Amit Moile from Autocar Professional Magazine. We cover the auto industry. So you mentioned about, Kiran, this is a question to you, that you mentioned about, when you're going from ICE to EVs, the conversion is about 20-25%. But even for large organizations which are the automotive space, there are something called as a CAFE norms, which is the corporate fuel efficiency norms. So how do you think the companies which are not yet in the EV space, because many companies are still selling vehicles which are diesel guzzlers or not fuel efficient vehicles in that sense. How do you think you as from Mahindra, what are you doing to meet their CAFE norms?
So as I was mentioning about the science-based target, and our science-based target is based on reducing the tailpipe emissions actually. So today whatever emissions we are doing, we have taken a target and we have publicly committed that 30% reduction we will do. So that will happen purely on CAFE and BS4, BS6, whatever we are going ahead, right? And the work is going on, on vehicle weight reduction and the efficiency improvement. So that work is already going on, and we have still said that for four-wheeler at least, 30% will be by 2030, and still 70% is going to be ICE. And making ICE efficient is always be there, because for at Indian context also, because three-wheeler will change faster in EV segment, very fast, but not four-wheeler. Four-wheeler they still have time.
Just one last thing is that the government has also imposed very stiff penalties. And they're around 50,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees for a few grams of more emissions. And these are coming up in from April, which is not just from next month onwards. Those penalties will come into place. So maybe a comment on that.
Good afternoon. My name is Shankar, and I'm from. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. So I think it's a good move from government side, because what we call it as a carbon tax, and kind of we were expecting this long back. Carbon tax should be there on vehicles or any other thing. So I think what will happen is OEMs they are already there in the journey, I must say, but still it helps. Some regulatory thing helps to expedite the actions, but we don't see any concern for that today.
Yeah, Shankar.
Shankar from V Commercial Vehicles, the same industry as you all are in. We've seen a shift happening in terms of partnering with organizations, suppliers, vendors who are more green. But what should be done to move the needle, take it faster, and say no to ones who are no longer green?
Anyone wants to answer that? Okay.
What we have done is we have made clusters of our vendors, and we are trying to help them out. And it's not that just it is imposed onto the vendors that you have to do like this. We try and handhold, we try and give them best of our capability, knowledge and training. In spite of that, if those are not interested in taking that forward, then they miss the boat and somebody else take it up. So it's a mixed approach. We encourage them. And after encouraging, if somebody is not getting and somebody else comes in, he gets a preference.
So how to shift the needle faster. I think that's question was. Abhay, of course, is saying he's working with his suppliers and so on and so forth. We as a society, and I think CII forms part of the society, the fact that today the house is full, this conference was never even half full a year back. Of course, forget about this 2 years pandemic. We were not attending. Today it's full. Today I saw pre-lunch, people were standing here, which means that we are becoming more and more responsible. The fact that we have all accumulated and assimilated here. And it is we who can change the world faster. But the good news is solar and wind has become cheaper than coal. That's the first development which has taken place. Somehow his storage works, and our distribution companies pays us faster, which is basically state government financing. I think we are there. So perhaps, Shankar, another 2-3 years, you will see another great day. And this country is going to spend, India is going to spend $1 trillion in next 7 years. There is no other industry which is going to get that sort of investment. There is no other industry in the world. It's a fact. So if even half of that happens, just imagine what's going to happen by 2030. And that's why we are all here. Yes, any other, for our last question, please. Yes, go ahead. We are already past time.
Yeah, I wanted to check how much of what you're doing in sustainability is today being driven top-down versus creating an incentive structure in your organization so you get a lot more ideas and initiatives starting to happen more bottoms-up, right, and coming up organically. So what's the balance today, and how do you see that changing?
See, mainly it is coming from, it's both ways, and naturally somebody has to start, naturally top has to start first. Once it starts, ball starts rolling, I think people do come forward, they come with ideas, and we do incentivize them even up to the level of Mr. MD's awards, etc. being given, so that naturally he gets a lot of visibility across organization, and that's the way it improves the bottom-up approach as well.
I'll just add, Robin,
Sure,
just one thing. I think that board has passed that we have to require award system, reward system right now. For us, what we have seen is investors are asking about it, stakeholders are asking about it. Your company's image is being evaluated, and we have seen many examples in last 1.5 years at least, with a single image, be it a social, environment and governance perspective, that how your company's image is getting. So it's already integrated. Now you don't require a special rewards, but people want to work in this field. And I have seen ESG has taken such a, like Robin was mentioning about the conference also, but there are so many things are happening in this field, and it is very, very important for any organization for that matter. So we are much, India, a lot of organizations are above that actually.
Okay, last one then. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just I wanted to ask you.
Your name, organization, question.
I'm Dr. Parvatalu from ONGC Energy Center. I would like to ask that when we are talking about sustainability and then utilization of renewables like solar and all, so far the drive has been on utilization of electricity-oriented type of work which is going on even in manufacturing structure. But then there is a large potential for solar thermal. And where we are up to actually, is it the cost is the factor or resources crunch, or what do you think like? Just I would like to ask.
Gurus are sitting here, but let me answer the question.
Anyone can.
Before this, the hydrogen was discussed, I think, and all of you discussed hydrogen. So new methods of generating sustainable energy is now going to happen. Hydrogen, we have said that it will become rupee 1 per kg. Today, the world cost is 4 rupees per kg. The Economist magazine, the latest, not the latest, I think 6 months back, the Economist magazine said 4 rupees se 1 rupee nahi hone wala hai, it will become 2 rupees per kg. Be as it may become half. The problem of solar, of course, we don't make solar as much, but space. Deepak just said, space is running out. Solar, the technological problem is space, and wind, the problem is that wind, they are not able to convert the wind energy because India is not good in wind. India has only Rajasthan and southern part of India has wind, not much wind in India, unfortunately true. I know it's a long story, but the fact of the matter is, if I see the big picture, $500 billion, most of it is getting spent in new age technology. Adanis have already announced $70 billion investment. How much of it will happen? We will see based on what's happening today. Ambani's have announced, Mukesh Bhai had announced $80 billion. Now, these are announced, made by the chairman in the public domain. So it's already $150 billion, 2 houses. Even 50% of that happens. Just imagine where we'll, but all this is in new age technology. And number one, whatever I can gather from the market is that the focus is hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. H2O, it's all free. Well, thank you. I think we can argue till the cows go home. We can continue to discuss, so much to do. And ladies and gentlemen, we are run out of time. Thank you so very much. You were really lovely and gave us a very, very patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Robin, sir, for the very engaging discussion right after our lunch break.